might just go back now to the most popular and the most successful marketers on Instagram, because you'll have noticed that Australia features very strongly in the sort of ranking of people who use Instagram well. And I thought it would be really interesting for you to meet, if you haven't met already, the person who's doing one of the best jobs in Instagram, the Instagram world, and that is Jessie Desjardins, who is the social media manager at Tourism Australia. First of all, I might start with some of Jessie's vital statistics, because he's got a pretty impressive set of numbers. Hashtag See Australia has about 310,000 photos. Their Instagram page is about 1,700 photos. They've had 4.6 million likes and 64,000 comments. My first question for Jessie is, Jessie, where does Instagram fit into your overall marketing plan?
I think our Instagram account fits beautifully under the There's Nothing Like Australia campaign. It's a platform that allows us to not only just tell our stories every day, but also storytell with the consumer. I think there's a very big difference. For us, we're quite fortunate. You said that I run the account. I actually don't think I run the account. I think it's an account run by a massive community of people. So we get about 1,000 photos a day that are sent through us, through Instagram and through Facebook. So for an organization like us, for a small team, we're only a small team of 3 people, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, to have more content than you know what to do with through Instagram is quite good. What we'll do every single day is we'll feature the best photos that align with the brand values, sort of thing. So I thought it was interesting when you said hashtag Australia's 886,000 photos. We have 312,000 that people have specifically used hashtag See Australia to give us permission on the account. I think it's pretty impressive. Yeah,
it's good, and it's worth following on See Australia on that account on Instagram, because the shots are unbelievable. It just makes you want to travel in Australia. It's really good.
It makes me want to get out of the office every day.
It certainly does. It's fairly depressing on a cold Monday morning to see the Pilbara in its all its glory. What works best in terms of liked and shared imagery? What's the secret of success?
Yeah, I think there's programs like Statagram, which will tell you which filters perform the best on your account. You can see like what time of the day. Like for us, we found out that the photos only last about 3 hours. So that was a kind of a big insight for us. So we had to reshift our strategy. But I think people forget about context a lot. You know, it's not just about the creativity, but it's also about the community and the fact that, you know, once we feature someone's photo like the week before, I mean, that person's coming back on our account every single day because we've given them a bit of love. And people never forget that. And it's like if I look at all the likes and I look at the comments, and we can pretty much track it all the time that we have featured this person, we've interacted with them, we've replied back to them. Then you get to a point where you can't do everything by yourself. So I think our whole focus has been about the system, about the community, about kind of making it, you know, creating that ecosystem that just keeps getting bigger and bigger every day.
Great. And these images up on, are these sort of typical of the kind of most favorited?
Yeah, and I think like the one on the left, right, when the fog was coming into Sydney, I think like for us to have a platform where it's real time, where it's social, where it's mobile, I mean, it's quite difficult to do anywhere else. And we got that photo and we featured on the account like within 20 minutes. And yeah, I mean, we feature pretty much about 6 photos every single day. So what you showed with the timing is so important on Instagram. And what we found out was to get people during breakfast, lunch, and dinner, usually on the East Coast time is what works. But we got our account up to a certain point, I think it was about 30,000 followers, and we kind of hit a wall. And we're like, okay, well, we really need to reach people in the US and throughout Europe. So we're now working with a partner in New York who, while we sleep, they feature 3 photos also too. So it's really a 24-hour account.
And how do you benchmark yourself versus, I guess, other tourist brands? How do you know you're doing a good job?
Well, I think definitely being better than the other tourism destinations is a kind of a big tick. I think yesterday was just announced we won a Travel and Leisure magazine award for the best Instagram account globally. I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. It's a certain benchmark. But again, I think it's that whole context around the community and the industry. I mean, I think you guys did an amazing job with the Canberra project of 500 humans. Also, too, on the bottom and on the top is a project that was done by Hamilton Island, the Return to Paradise. So for us, I would say we spend about 20% of our time actually on the account, and the rest of the time is with industry, with our influencers. Like again, by featuring that person's account, they've become an advocate. We don't need to feature them every single day, but they're going off and they're creating Insta walks, they're meeting a whole bunch of people, and their accounts are getting bigger. I would actually say the majority of our activity happens on probably about 10 accounts that are not even linked to ours. So people like Lauren Bath in the Gold Coast, who I think she was part of that.
Yeah.
So here's someone who's a chef. A year and a half ago, just bought a camera, started taking photos around the Gold Coast. Now she's got like 225,000 followers, and I mean, for her, she's one of her. For us, she's one of our biggest advocates.
And this lady's just gone professional.
Yeah.
She's given up her job and she's become a professional photographer selling through Instagram. And so go to Lauren Bath and have a look. She's great.
Yeah. It was really difficult, I think, at first. It took us a good 3 or 4 months until we figured out the formula. Like we think a lot about systems at work and not just one big kind of creative image every 2 or 3 months, but it's like we were able to feature a photo. At the beginning, it was a bit depressing because we only had like 2 or 3 likes, and they all came from within the office. But you keep at it, sort of thing, and doing those. It was initially only 3 photos a day, and then it took us a while, and then now it's gotten to the point where we know that every time we post, the worst post will get 3,000 likes, and we had one the other day that got like 15,000.
Right.
And those numbers add up quite a bit at the end of the week.
And what actually kills the likes? Is there a particular theme around what doesn't work and what people really don't like?
It's interesting. It's always
ferrets,
like
potentially.
Maybe, yeah. No, for us, like I don't think ferrets aligns with our brand values, so I unfortunately couldn't feature that one. But it's just this really kind of like that shot with the Sydney fog. I think Australia can be familiar sometimes, and it's certainly the images that we'll use in print and television could tell one story. But even in Instagram, you'll see the same story told in a whole bunch of different ways. So we'll use hashtags quite a lot. So we'll use hashtag Sydney or a hashtag ferry or a hashtag Great Barrier Reef. So then that person will click through and then they'll see all the rest of the photos, and that brings in even more people.
And what about one of the things that a lot of people worry about is negative comments or being hijacked by porn people or whatever else.
Oh yeah, we get that all the time.
Nasty stuff. Yeah. And how do you deal with that where it happens on Instagram?
Yeah, I think because we've spent so much time building up this community that it does happen all the time, but it represents like a small fraction, like less than 1%. And we've gotten to the point where our whole time has been spent on the community that whenever that happens, whenever there's like a bad apple in the bunch, the community comes to our defense almost 90% of the time before we can even jump in.
Right.
Oh.
And to finish off, what would you give us your best tip for getting the most likes or followers on Instagram? What's your general piece of advice to everyone in the audience today?
I would say partnerships is probably the key, because the thing is, like with Instagram, right, it's this like real-time platform on mobile. It's really difficult for us to just come in and just spend $50,000 in Facebook ads and say, oh, this has been a successful campaign because we have all these numbers. Like, you actually have to physically be uploading the photo. You can't cheat the system. Right, which I think is very, very interesting, because I think a lot of these platforms, like we can talk about all these platforms that consumers are on, but that's the way they're going. Right? So unless you have a way, a campaign, or an approach where the community is doing a lot of the work for you and you're building up, it's impossible to do it yourself, I think, as a brand.
Excellent. Jesse, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Brilliant.